everybody. Welcome to our brand new segment, The Dream of the Week. Now, in this new segment, I'm going to be bringing up, narrating, ultimately maybe analyzing and discussing one of my coolest dreams from the previous week. And believe me, I got a lot of them. 4 dreams a night or so, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. We got a lot to discuss. But basically, I'm going to be bringing up some of the more compelling dreams I've had. Things that are scary, things that are emotional, things that are straight up enlightening and beautiful and cool and intriguing and sexy, and talking about them with everyone. What's my goal here? To share with everybody. To maybe give people an insight as to the variety and wonder and splendor to be found in the dream realms. To analyze a bit, to give people an idea of what these things could possibly mean, if anything. And, well, to maybe give folks an insight into what their own dreams are like. Maybe somebody be watching one of these and say, whoa, yeah, I had a dream just like that. And maybe you can get some insight into your own little world, just like I get insights into mine. Now, for the first dream of the week, I will be starting with a short and simple one, which I call the evil chicken. As the dream begins, I'm outside my grandparents' house, standing in the midst of a serene suburban neighborhood. We approach the home and go inside, me and my parents, but the house appears to be empty. Nevertheless, we go in and proceed to cook ourselves a delicious chicken dinner in the kitchen. Now, as we begin eating it, it tastes decent, it tastes good, but we realize something. With a shock, I find out that the chicken is, in a way, still alive. Now, it's not getting up at me and clucking or anything, but I can feel its malevolent presence. This is an evil chicken. This chicken doesn't want us to be eating it. This chicken is angry that we're eating it. And I can feel it getting ready to take its revenge upon us. But then, suddenly my mindset shifts. I realize by getting into kind of an energy healer mode, I can alter the essence of this chicken. So I utilize these energy techniques. I look down at the chicken and I shift away the evil. It disappears. The vile consciousness of the chicken is removed. Furthermore, this has the effect of taking the meat that had been before a bit overcooked, a bit dry, and making it moist, tender, juicy, and delicious. So, me and my parents, my father, my mother, we proceed to eat the chicken dinner. It's delicious, it's nourishing. And as we finish off, the dream begins to fade away, and soon I awaken. And now we proceed with a bit of analysis. Now, looking at this dream on the surface, looking at just the literal view of it, it appears to be a bunch of crazy-ass bullshit. I mean, what, an evil, sentient chicken dinner? What's this supposed to mean? Anything? Just meaningless crap? You know, did I do anything the previous night to trigger such a dream? Was I eating a chicken dinner, for example, on any of the nights beforehand? Looked at my dinners that week, and no, nothing triggered it like that. Was I thinking about my grandparents or their house? Also no. So, literally, this dream doesn't appear to make much sense. As you know what? Many dreams don't. But look at that symbolically. We might be able to gather up a bit of meaning from it. Basically, if you haven't already, you can check out my previous article that I did on the Dreamwalker Memoirs blog, a written one, about dream interpretation. There you can maybe find an idea of how I'm looking at these symbols. But basically, to summarize it, in the system I'm currently using to interpret dreams, everything in the dream is a part of the dreamer. Every object, every piece of food, every house, every person in that dream is a part of yourself. So, I'm going to start looking at this dream in that context and try to analyze a few of these symbols. Now, first, we have the house. This is my grandparents' house. What could this possibly mean to me? Many systems of dream interpretation like to view the house as symbolic for the mind, and I think in this case that works out well. In particular, looking at this dream house, the house my grandparents used to live in before my grandfather passed away and my grandmother had to go to a nursing home for her dementia, this house represents to me, if anything in the mind, old ways of thinking, traditional ways of thinking, ancient, treasured types of thought, a mindset that goes back generations and generations, containing years of wisdom, but perhaps years of accumulated junk too. Next, we get on to the simple symbol of my parents. Now, as I said before, all the people in your dreams, they can be viewed as aspects of yourself. So, however you want to look at it, my parents in that dream are part of me. I've often noticed this, in fact, that if I have a dream with other people in it, particularly people I know well, like my parents or some really close friends, they're kind of satellites that are metaphorically orbiting me in the dream. They don't necessarily act that much on their own, but they're there, kind of acting as I act. And I know in a few of the more lucid moments I've had, as I look at the people, I could tell it's not really them. And I remember once even my father telling me in a dream, confirming that yes, he was an aspect of myself. He was a mental construct. And certain ways of thinking, you could look at parental figures in particular in a dream as representing a higher aspect of yourself, something that some folks might dub the superconscious mind, because parents are viewed as authority figures, and thus they have this kind of inner authority. Well, whether you want to see it that way or not, I say they are part of myself, and they represent parts of me in the dream. And so we enter this house, and we get to the next symbol, which is that chicken dinner. Now, looked at from the point of view of an interpretation system, specifically the one I'm using, the chicken dinner could have an interesting meaning. Food is said to represent knowledge. Just as physical food nourishes the physical body, knowledge is seen as what nourishes, gives energy to, builds up the mental arena. This chicken dinner, though, this isn't just some ordinary piece of knowledge. It contains something else, something nasty, something bad and dark and poisonous. Looked at as if it were a piece of knowledge. What kind of knowledge would contain bad stuff? Well, knowledge laced with lies. Wise sayings with a bit of hidden bullshit in them, designed to mislead you, to lure you in with the good stuff and then infect you with the bad stuff. Thoughts laden with hypocrisy. Ideas which, while on the surface may seem legitimate, really have this lurking untruth inside of them. And so, we can begin to put together this dream. Let's say I'm walking along, going on my way in life, accompanied by the parents, which represent a higher aspect of myself, a kind of inner guidance. And we enter this old way of thinking, this treasured, ancient, celebrated way of thinking, laden with ancestral knowledge, laden with wisdom, and we begin receiving this knowledge, symbolized by the food. Yet, this is knowledge that's maybe not altogether good. There's something wrong with it. Some kind of lie hidden amongst the truth. But, just as when you're reading a book, you don't have to accept everything in there as true, what I do here in my mental landscape is I shift this around so that I take the good and remove the bad. I don't have to digest and eat all that nasty stuff in order to enjoy what's delicious, what's empowering, what's wise in all the knowledge. And so, I make this shift and we move along. Now, when I look at my life, from the last couple days before I had this dream, I can see it kind of falling into place. I can see it starting to make sense. And You have to ask yourself this whenever you look at a dream and try to interpret it. Does it work for me? Does this interpretation really make any sense? Or is it just a bunch of spiritual sounding or psychological sounding rubbish? You know, the test is in if it works. I was looking at my life the last 2 days before I had this dream, and there are some things in it that do make sense. I'll let y'all know this much. I like to read a lot. I like to listen to a lot of YouTube videos, watch a lot of spiritual, conspiracy-related, UFOs, those kind of programs. And I've read a lot about the topics. And I'll say this much. Most people will probably see me as a rather woo-woo kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy who's a hardline skeptic on things. I'm not a denier of all things metaphysical or out there, as you can clearly tell. But still, I do have a skeptical side, and I like to question everything. So I take a lot of this knowledge, and I question it. And lately, I have been having some questions about, well, the origin of a lot of what people call spiritual nowadays. I remember having a conversation with my girlfriend just the other day about this topic, about how we really don't know if anything is true. From what I've seen and read, a lot of what we regard as spiritual nowadays is kind of this mishmash, this mixing of East and West, of the Asian philosophies with the ones that became prevalent in Europe, or the Judeo-Christian ideas. We see a lot nowadays, people talking on the internet about the 7 chakras, about the ascended masters, about energy healing, about yoga, and discussing things like karma and reincarnation publicly. And talking about these things like they're a matter of fact, like this is stuff we know for sure works this way. That this is like, yeah, established facts already about the universe. But, you see, I have been questioning this stuff because I found even in the most well-respected traditions, even looking at the various Christian denominations over the years and over the centuries, we see that people haven't agreed on what's true, even within a particular religion like that. There's been so many breaks, so many different dogmas and ideas about what's real, what's true, what's profound and spiritual, that sometimes the actual message, the important core of information in the faith has been lost, at least for a time being. And so I was questioning and talking to my girlfriend about, do we really know if any of this is true? Do we know that there are 7 chakras, for example, or 13 of them? Or see, there's various systems, for example, on the chakras. There's various ideas on what karma is like. Reincarnation. You know, some people say we're born into a life and we had a life before that, we had a life before that, that it's a sequential kind of thing where we learn our lessons, burn off our negative karma. Of course, there's others who claim that it all happens simultaneously. See, from the point of view of the soul, there is no time, and thus all incarnations occur at once. You lead thousands of lives all at the same time. So, which point of view is true? Are either one of them true, or any of them true? People differ on their views of the afterlife. Should you go to the white light? Should you get out of it because it's a trap by alien taskmasters wanting to send you back into the reincarnation cycle? I'm not going to answer these things for y'all today, but they've all been things I've been thinking about. About whether I should really listen to the words of other people. Nah, you know what, truth be told, I think I decided a while ago that I'm going to listen to my own inner guidance first. But consider the words of others. Consider this wisdom that people pass on to me, because you know what? There's value to be found in these things. There's value to be found in looking over what people that did stuff before you found out. Did they get everything right? Probably not. Chances are, maybe just like that evil chicken, there's some nastiness that those who didn't wish so well on us inserted into various sacred texts and holy teachings. I've suspected this. Others have suspected it. Do I say it's absolutely true? No. But either way, I feel this dream with this chicken is coming to life with an evil presence of its own was a sign that I am processing all the knowledge that I'm getting there from outside in the world. I'm processing it, integrating it, and ultimately taking the good and banishing the bad. I feel that's a big function of what our, at least surface level dreams can be like, is integrating what we learn in our day-to-day experiences and kind of merging that with our much wider, vaster subconscious existence and slowly building ourselves up in that subconscious realm. And I feel that's what a dream like this is like. It's not one of the deeper level dreams, but to me it seemed kind of profound. So there you have it, my friends. The first episode of Dream of the Week. Join us next week for more fascinating talk of dreams, the spiritual, and our greater reality. This is Alexander. This is Dreamwalker Memoirs. I bid you goodbye.